Initially, I wasn't that bothered about watching the Mitchells versus the Machines. I saw the trailer and I didn't really like the animation style that much, and the narrative for me didn't sound that interesting. But after hearing a lot of great reviews and, you know, Olivia Colman's in it, I thought I will give it a go. And actually, once we get past the first 20 minutes or so, it's brilliant. And it may be one of the best films that I've seen that's been released this year. Granted, the bar's not very high because I haven't seen that many new releases. But I think it's definitely worth a watch, and I'm glad that I gave it a go. The film itself is so timely. It's about dysfunctional technology, very vengeful and evil technology, voiced by Olivia Colman, which I just think is a fantastic kind of paradox there. It is directed by Michael Rianda and Jeff Rowe, and the voice cast is pretty brilliant. Abby Jacobson is Katie, and I have to say Katie as a character is absolutely brilliant. I love her. I relate to her, and I think a lot of people watching this will, because she's a big film fan, and if you're watching this, you have to at least, you know, like film. There's something I want to say about her character as well, but I won't spoil anything, so I'll leave that until the end, because I don't want to ruin anything. But there are 2, maybe 3 things that I'd like to go into just a tiny bit of detail about, so I will give you fair warning before I decide to do that. Maya Rudolph is voicing Linda. Definitely worth checking out the whole voice cast. Conan O'Brien voices one of the machines. It's just brilliant, and Olivia Colman as Pal is just perfect. She's so evil, and Olivia Colman is easily a contender for the kindest person in the world. So I just absolutely love that. I thought it was a brilliant piece of casting there, and she does it very well. I'm not sure why the British voice was chosen in an American film to be the enemy, but we won't analyse that. Long story short, Katie is going off to college, and her father decides that he will drive her there. The family will take a road trip to California, and en route, they realise that the whole planet is being taken over by robots because a phone operating system, PAL, feels cast aside when this new robot is created to kind of take over her. And she orders for all of these robots to basically capture humanity. But Katie's family, the Mitchells, are basically the last ones left and are in charge of trying to save the world. And they're kind of called a dysfunctional family, but really they're everybody's family. They're imperfect in the way that everybody's family is. And I think that that's brilliant. The mix of characters are great. And, you know, Danny McBride voices Rick, the father, who I think is absolutely brilliant. Michael Rianda is Aaron, who is such a sweet character, and I really like that character a lot. And it's the younger brother. I'm glad we got a lot out of him. As a family unit, although they're dysfunctional, they're an absolute pleasure to watch. The moral here, of course, well, I guess there are 2 messages. One, the machines are taking over us, run for your lives. And the second one is family should come before pretty much anything else. And if you work with your family and stick together as a family unit, you can achieve great things. Obviously, some families have exceptions. So the narrative, although I'm not the biggest fan of animated robot films, is really good. It is actually really gripping, and although I don't like road trip films, which is another reason why I wasn't that interested, it's actually very, very effectively done and really thoroughly enjoyable. With regards to the actual animation style, I'd say the first 20 minutes or so, which is, you know, part of when I didn't really enjoy it that much, the animation style is quite difficult. It's quite difficult to kind of view, and I don't know why that is. I just feel like it's really strained and not very good. There's too much going on. But afterwards, I don't know if it either changes slightly or I've just become more used to it. But after kind of the first 20 minutes, I stopped noticing the animation style and just enjoyed it for the film that it was. It's very creative, very creative. The editing is fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Despite the fact that the robots are taken over and it's a very dark subject matter, it's always kind of bright and colourful for the most part. The editing is phenomenal. The soundtrack is amazing. The sound effects are fabulous. I I normally don't listen to films through headphones, and just because I just don't like to be kind of restricted in my movement, and they're not wireless. But with this one, construction work is happening outside my house, so I decided to have headphones on, and the sound was amazing. Really, absolutely fantastic. I cannot fault it. I won't mention the ending, but I will just say that the way it concluded I thought was satisfying. So in all, I completely underestimated this film. It's absolutely fantastic. I completely see why it's getting such positive feedback. The two things that I want to spoil, both are very minor things and don't actually affect the narrative whatsoever, but I will just say these two things, which may spoil a few little things for you. One, the Furbies. Genius idea to put the Furbies in there. Furbies have always been terrifying, but I love them. I love Furbies. They were adorable, giant Furby, terrifying. And the army of robotic vacuum cleaners. I have one of those. It's a load of rubbish. It doesn't really work very well, but I just thought they were absolutely hysterical. And the other thing I loved was the line at the very end. I think maybe the last scene. I think her mother asked, "How's Jade? Are you official? Are you bringing her home for whatever?" And I loved that. It just glossed over the fact that Katie is obviously gay and in a relationship with Jade. Didn't make a big deal out of it, completely normalised it, didn't focus on it at all, just referenced it very quickly. And her mother was talking at a pace like this where it was really hard to kind of catch everything she was saying. And I think that was fantastic. I love that they just dropped that in there without making a big deal out of it and just saying, yeah, this is who Katie is. Get over it if you don't like it. Really, really thought that was brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed this film from almost start to finish. I'd love a sequel. I didn't think I'd be saying that at this point, but I would love a sequel. The Mitchells versus the Machines, if you don't think it's for you, there's a very good chance that it actually will be, so give it a watch if you can. As I said, it's on Netflix. The trailers do not do it justice. The narrative is a lot better than it sounds. The animation quality is not my favourite, but I got used to it. The soundtrack, I mean, I still can't get over the sound. It's just absolutely brilliant, and the editing is flawless. Obviously, the voice acting is great, and Olivia Colman is perfect. There are no real flaws with this whatsoever, and that's completely the opposite of what I was expecting. It just goes to show that you can't judge a film by its trailer. I'm glad that I listened to the reviews, which I do always try and do. I would never judge a film without watching it, but I may avoid a film until I've heard some positive reviews. The Mitchell versus the Machine is brilliant. My fingers are very tightly crossed that we get a sequel to this one.